Racist flight attendant accuses black man of being drunk and humiliates him in front of everyone. The cabin lights were still dim for the red-eye from Atlanta to London when the scream cut through the hush like a cracked bell. Sir, I need you to sit down right now. Every head snapped toward the front galley. A tall black man in a navy peacoat stood halfway down the aisle, one hand braced on a seatback, the other clutching a small paper bag that was leaking dark red onto his fingers. Blood. A lot of it. Karen, name badge glinting under the reading lights, was already marching toward him, face twisted the way people's faces twist when they've already decided who you are before you open your mouth. Sir, you've been drinking, she announced, loud enough for the back row to hear. I can smell it. We do not tolerate intoxicated passengers. Return to your seat immediately or I'll have the captain meet us at the gate with security. Gasps rippled. Phones lifted. The man, Marcus, tried to speak, but his voice came out wet and ragged. Ma'am, I'm not. Don't lie to me. Karen's finger shot up like she was scolding a child. Everyone saw you stumbling when you boarded. I should have stopped you then. Sit down. A white woman in 4C whispered. Jesus, they always do this, just loud enough for the rows around her to hear. Marcus's knees buckled. The paper bag slipped from his hand and split open on the carpet runner. Not a bottle, but a shattered snow globe, the kind little kids beg for in airport gift shops. Water and fake snow and blood everywhere. A tiny plastic Eiffel Tower rolled under a seat. He wasn't drunk. He was bleeding out. He managed one step, then dropped hard between the seats, coat falling open. His white shirt was soaked crimson from collar to waist. Someone screamed, this time for real. Karen froze, mouth still open mid-accusation. A teenage girl 2 rows back started crying. An older black woman across the aisle unbuckled and pushed past Karen without a word. Marcus's eyes fluttered. My daughter, he rasped, trying to pull something from his inner pocket. Tell her, I tried. The older woman knelt, pressing both palms to the wound high on his left side. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. Karen finally found her voice, smaller now. I thought the smell was alcohol. It was the metallic, blood smells like. Call the damn doctor. The older woman barked. And get me every first-class napkin you got. A man in a Georgia Bulldogs hoodie was already on his feet. Drive. Ryan Patel, cardiothoracic surgeon, flying home to Toronto after a conference. He vaulted 2 seatbacks like an Olympic hurdler. Pressure. Keep pressure, he told the woman, ripping open Marcus's shirt. Buttons pinged off the tray tables. The wound was ugly, a deep slice just under the ribs, still pumping. What happened? Ryan demanded while tying a makeshift tourniquet from 2 seatbelt extenders. Marcus's lips moved. Mugging, at the terminal curb. Took my wallet. I just wanted to get home to my little girl, her birthday. He fumbled the object from his pocket with blood-slick fingers and pressed it into the older woman's hand. A child's drawing. Crayon stick figures labeled, Daddy, and, Ava, under a yellow sun, laminated and folded small enough to carry over a heart. Karen stood rooted, hands shaking. The captain's voice crackled overhead asking for medical personnel. Half the plane was crying now, the other half filmed with trembling phones. Ryan looked up at the frozen flight attendant. Oxygen bottle, now. Karen stumbled backward, nearly tripped over the snow globe water, and ran. 10 minutes later the plane made an emergency diversion to Gander, Newfoundland, the same tiny airport that took in the world on 9/11. Paramedics stormed aboard while passengers formed a human corridor, silent, heads bowed. Marcus was gray when they lifted him onto the stretcher. The older woman, Miss Lorraine from Birmingham, Alabama, walked beside him, still pressing the crayon drawing to her chest like a talisman. At the jet bridge, Marcus grabbed Ryan's sleeve with surprising strength. Doctor, the globe, it was for Ava, she's turning 7 tomorrow, please. Ryan couldn't promise anything. He just squeezed the man's hand and ran alongside the gurney until the airport doors closed. Karen stood alone in the galley, staring at the blood on her shoes. The plane sat on the tarmac for 6 hours while police took statements and cleaners worked the aisle. Nobody boarded again until every trace was gone, but the smell lingered, iron and fake pine from the broken globe. Passengers milled in the small Gander terminal that still had 9/11 thank you banners on the walls. People who'd been strangers an hour earlier now shared coffee and stories like old friends. Miss Lorraine sat on a plastic chair, turning the crayon drawing over and over. Karen approached like someone walking to the gallows. "I owe you the deepest apology," Karen said, voice cracking. "I saw a black man with blood on his hands and I assumed the worst. I humiliated him. I could have killed him with my mouth before that knife ever had the chance." Miss Lorraine looked at her a long time. "Child, we all carry stories we didn't write. Question is what we do when the page turns." She held out the drawing. "He asked me to make sure his baby gets this if you take it. You make it right." Karen took the folded laminate like it burned. Ryan came through the lounge doors hours later, still in scrubs, eyes red. The terminal went quiet. "He's stable," he announced. "Lost a lot of blood, nicked the spleen, but the knife missed everything major by less than a centimeter. He's asking for his daughter." Cheers and sobs collided. Karen found Ryan at the coffee station. "I need a favor," she whispered. "I need to get to Toronto. Tonight, whatever it costs." Ryan studied her face. Really studied it, then nodded once. 24 hours later, Karen, still wearing the same uniform, now wrinkled and stained, stood outside room 412 at Toronto General. In her arms, a new snow globe from the hospital gift shop, Paris at night, and the original crayon drawing carefully taped back together. She knocked. Marcus lay propped up, pale but awake, an IV in one arm and a tiny black girl with space bun pigtails curled against his good side. Ava. She was asleep, clutching a stuffed giraffe. Marcus's eyes widened when he saw the uniform. Then he saw Karen's face, stripped of makeup, eyes swollen from crying, and something shifted. "I don't even know your name," he said quietly. "Karen. Karen Whitmore." She stepped closer. "I was wrong. Cruel. Blind. I'm so sorry." Ava stirred, blinked up. "Daddy, who's that?" Marcus smoothed his daughter's hair. "This is Miss Karen. She helped Daddy get to you." Karen's knees almost gave out. She set the new snow globe on the bedside table, then placed the repaired drawing in his hand. "I owe you more than things can fix. But I start here." Marcus looked at the drawing, then at her, then at his sleeping daughter. Tears rolled without shame. "Miss Karen," he said, voice rough, "you gave me the worst moment of my life, and then you helped give me the best. We're even." Karen shook her head hard. "We're not, but maybe we're starting." She reached out and tucked a stray braid behind Ava's ear, the gentlest touch. Ava smiled in her sleep and snuggled closer to her father. Outside the window, Toronto sparkled under fresh snow. Inside the room, three people who'd never met before yesterday shared the same quiet, impossible peace. Karen flew back to Atlanta the next day. She still works the same routes, still wears the same uniform. But now, every time she boards a plane, she pauses at the door, takes a breath, and remembers the weight of a crayon drawing in a stranger's hand. And somewhere over the Atlantic, a little girl in C-27C presses her nose to the window, watching city lights far below, clutching a snow globe that survived a nightmare, proof that sometimes the worst beginnings write the most beautiful stories. The end.